Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I'm making this video today um, because when I first started my journey here on the internet world of social media and started dating and relationship content, the basic knowledge of all my stuff now has kind of gotten lost in there, but it's still very much basic knowledge that relates to the polarity work that I do here and fixing your relationship issues. Um, and I was going through some of my content, my older stuff, and I used to talk a lot about masculine and feminine energies, just the basic knowledge of it. So for today's video, I want to talk about the signs of feminine energy men. And like I said, it's still very relative to what I discuss today. But now that I've ventured out on YouTube now, and I'm trying to grow this community, and I want to have more of my portfolio documented here, I'm just going to be making some videos, I guess, more relative to the older content that is still very much helpful to those of you who want to learn more about relationship polarity. And oh my God, please don't mind this mess I have going on with all of this lint and fuzz. I wore a black dress and a white fuzzy thing, so I guess that was just stupid on my part. Please try to ignore that, but please know that I would never walk out of the house like this. Okay, so let's get right into it. Signs of feminine energy men. One, they are emotionally unstable and violent, or they at least can be violent. Men who are more in their feminine energy and sitting in that tend to be a bit more emotionally unstable. They tend to get triggered very, very easily. And sometimes that can lead to violent acts. Men were trained in many early tribes for centuries and centuries to remain very neutral faced and stoic while they were facing enemies or, doing the hard, dangerous stuff such as hunting for food for their families and for their tribes. They were trained to endure pain as much as humanly possible without showing any facial reaction to it. And there has been multiple researchers who have done this science experiments to, hook up things to men and women's brains in order to see the differences and see how they react over emotionally provocative photos. And in all of those studies, they always found that women would over dramatize an emotionally provocative photo, and men would have like an instant emotional reaction, but then subconsciously present a more neutral face. Excuse me. So it's just a very well known fact that us women, we tend to overreact over more small problems, things that we've perceived to be as smaller issues, and we have a larger, we have more blood flow. I cannot talk to our prefrontal cortex in our brains, which is responsible for our emotional responses. So masculine men are not so easily triggered by women who call them names or tell them the word no. Only guys that are sitting in their feminine energy are going to be more emotionally unstable and triggered over those kinds of things. And they will want their feelings more cherished as feminine energy women do. Next sign of feminine energy guy is that he may cater to his mother. These guys they're at their mother's every beck and call, every demand from her. Some of them even let her control their finances, which I have had that experience in my life, witnessed that experience in my life, and this is just sick. And usually, when he wants to be overly pleasing to mommy, it's because mom has feminized him growing up, and she lacks masculine leadership in her own life. So she kind of like relies heavily on him, or uses him as her rock to kind of manipulate and control him, because she's feminized him, right? The Bible says, "A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." So when he becomes more of a puppet to mommy's every demand, these men usually struggle in leading you to your femininity. He hasn't severed that tie between um, him and his parents, and that causes a lot of friction in your relationship dynamic. I can honestly say that I've never witnessed a relationship that was healthy and thriving, and where there was no problems, where the mother was like dictating the husband's life, or, like I said, finances. Every situation that I've witnessed, unfortunately, it always causes friction between him and his wife, and rightfully so. God says it very clearly: "A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one." Now, this does not mean that masculine energy men disrespect, or, have a lot of hatred towards their parents. Of course, it doesn't mean that. Masculine men often will provide for their families, especially when they need to. They will make sure to be there when their family needs them, okay? Um, but it's that unhealthy ground of, letting her, or both the parents, completely dictate their entire life, and he just becomes a puppet to her. Okay, next. Feminine energy men will tend to be more selfish with their resources. Masculine men are very notorious for being very giving and very generous with their resources, as they always had to be for thousands and thousands of years. Only now, in the modern world, have men become so selfish with all that they build up and attain, and in their resources. So, because women have always had to discern men for their ability to provide resources, and what it was that they had already acquired, in order to choose them as a mate, because of that, you will naturally begin to resent any man that becomes overly selfish with his resources. Okay, so the foundational basics of providing resources is obviously food, shelter, clothing, anything that provides a very safe ground for the feminine energy to um, flourish and feel protected. Okay, moving on. Oh my God, this is awful. All this fuzz. I swear it was not like that before I put this thing on. Okay, next sign is that he is attracted to you being hardworking and ambitious and independent, and having all your own stuff and all your own bills paid. He is very attracted to you, being that hardworking, ambitious, career oriented woman. And if you have basic knowledge of the masculine and feminine energy world and the world of polarity, you know that masculine men are very hardworking. They have a life purpose for themselves, and work hard to achieve those goals constantly setting new goals. They have, um, they're going in a certain direction. They see a vision for their life and they are willing to put in the work for that with no expectation of anyone helping them to get there, besides men. Other men can help them, but especially not women helping them to get there. So naturally, feminine men are more attracted to that quality in you if they are lacking it. So if you notice that he is overly interested in what you do for work and what you have to show for that and all of your financial assets, then my darling, that is a feminine energy man. And if you are attracting a feminine energy man who loves that you're, hardworking and can put in uh, 10 hours a day at work, then you are more in your masculine energy and you are something about you, maybe consciously or subconsciously, is leading with that energy. So you need not to lead with all of your accomplishments and how you have job title as CEO and you've made a lot of money for yourself. Um, don't lead with that kind of energy to a man. Not that you can't talk about, what it is that you do for a living as a single woman. If you are out there dating, that's obviously going to come up. Masculine men don't expect you to be, sitting at home, twiddling your thumbs or shopping at Chanel all day. That's an unrealistic expectation. They know that, if you're an unmarried woman, you will have to provide for yourself. It's about not leading with that and allowing him to fill in that space for you, to show you that he is hardworking and he knows his role as provider and protector. Okay, next sign of feminine energy men is that they are very chatty, very conversational, love to gossip, love to talk about drama, love to complain. They just talk, 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 all about themselves, crack a lot of jokes. Now, I was almost hesitant to throw this in there um, because I guess there are certain exceptions to this, okay? But the point is that masculine energy is less talk and more action. Masculine energy is about doing, it's about action. Feminine energy is more about connecting, relating, conversating, and yes, sometimes even complaining. Okay. As women, we are just like hardwired to complain and vent out our frustrations. That's just how we operate. But for men, we have to understand that they were always trained to remain quiet and stoic and as neutral faced as possible during hard and dangerous life situations. And women were always gathered in groups and communicating with other women and connecting that way. So feminine energy guys, they may like to chat on the phone for hours and hours and hours and talk about their life and never really open you up to discover who you are as a feminine woman. They're very focused on self and wanting you to go internally into them. Because, see, feminine energy is internal and masculine energy is external. It's validated by things of the external world. It's more tangible things. Okay, so that's why we can tend to get a bit turned off by men who just talk and talk and talk and never ask questions about us, because for us, we think, well, how can we ever allow him in our bodies if he knows nothing about our world inside of us, like what's going on in our hearts, what's going on in our souls, in our minds. Like, how can we let him into our bodies if he knows nothing about like who we are, underneath the physical beauty layer. So they do not bond to you particularly by chatting on the phone with you for hours and hours. We love that as women, but they don't bond to us that way. Not to say that they don't get anything from it. Of course, they have a feminine energy side to them too, a healthy balance to that. And they like good, stimulating conversation with a very intelligent woman. It's just that they don't bond to you that way, okay? They bond to you by, you know, exerting their force and doing things for you and creating these neural pathways of things that they did do for you where they had to like actually exert testosterone. Testosterone is what causes him to bond to you, not the world of estrogen lands of, chit chatting and venting. That's why men don't go to therapy. That's why more women go to therapy, because they need to share and vent about their life and frustrations. Men need to more so take action and resolve problems by doing something about them. And that's why it's a huge problem in the world of therapy right now, with women leading the counseling and psychologists world. It's a big problem because these men are going to women, looking up to women, getting advice from women, and we just don't resolve problems in the same way that men do. So there's a huge lack of masculine leadership um, for them to lean on. Okay. So unfortunately, women are flooding the world of counseling, and they're not doing men any service because they're turning them into women. Okay. And the last sign I'm going to talk about for this video is um, feminine energy men are beautiful. They're more obsessed with the way that they look. They're obsessed with their appearance. They're the pretty boys. Now, I remember when I had talked about this on TikTok, and that video got so much attention. It went pretty viral because, um, unfortunately, a lot of Gen Z men today are very obsessed with their appearances um, because they grow up in the age of social media and, modeling and, Hollywood and TVs and all of that feminine energy stuff. So, feminine energy is beauty. It's about having luscious hair, a curvy figure, plump breasts, all of these physical beauty signs that a woman is fertile. So these curves and astonishing beauty traits can signal to men that she is ready to procreate and can maintain the life of a baby. Masculine men will obviously work out in the gym in order to keep a healthy form. They will take care of their health. They will remain clean cut and keep a nice appearance. They want to keep up with their appearance, but they are not in the gym 7 days a week, 3 times a day, buffing up their shoulders, getting these extreme ripped abs, trying to like mold their body into like this perfect Ken doll type of figure. Like, they're just not doing that. They know that they need to provide tangible resources for women, and that's how they draw women in. But these men who are, staying in the gym all the time, they're on a subconscious level trying to attract women for their looks. In his world, it's more about how sexy he can appear rather than what it is that he can provide and resources that he can provide for her. Okay. And, usually, again, it's because they're groomed by a mom or groomed by social media and film and Hollywood indoctrination. Um, and they're told that their sexy looks are plenty enough. And, in school, all the ladies are, throwing themselves onto them because they're hot studs. And so they just kind of adapt this mindset and feel like they don't need to provide anything tangible. They just need to look hot and sexy, and that's plenty enough to get the women chasing after him. That's plenty enough to get him a couple women to lay down with him. So masculine men, they will want to build your attraction for them by penetrating into you, psychologically, and emotionally, intellectually. They want to get inside of you and your world, um, and that's how you end up, seeing the beauty in his outer shell appearance, right? Because we women, we don't need to think that a guy is hot and sexy for us to fall madly in love with him. We need to be provided for and see that he is hardworking and very strong, and he's stable. He's financially set. He has goals. We need to feel like he hears us and understands who we are. So, yeah, our attraction just we can think that our partner is hot and sexy, but that takes a little bit more time for that to develop. Versus for men, they need to know that you're hot and sexy like right away. Like that is what he is initially attracted to in order to pursue you. Okay, to see you as a potential suitable mate. I always love to bring up the story of Adam and Eve, because it's just so beautiful, and that's really where it all roots from. Um, After Adam had done his jobs, and God told him that he needed a helpmate, he created Eve from his ribs, and then he presented Eve. He just presented her, and he spoke, and he noticed her, and he saw that she had curves on her body that he did not have. And he said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called woman, because she is a man with a womb. Okay. So it was the way that she looked that initially, stirred something up inside of him, and he was sexually attracted to her. And it's such a beautiful thing if we have the wisdom to honor that. Now, again, it's not to say that just because a guy is hot and sexy, that he's not masculine. Of course, that can be the case, but it's about leading with their beauty and their looks and their stud syndrome, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. That is him on a deeper level signaling women to chase after him. Okay, that's all I'm going to say for this video today. It's already probably over 20 minutes long, so I'm going to cut it off here. Of course, I could go on and on about the signs of feminine energy men, and this is not to bash men. It's not to be fear mongering and, plant seeds of fear in your mind, because I'm not about that. Okay, I don't like that kind of content anyway. It's just to kind of take you back to the basics of where my content started, and explaining the masculine and feminine dynamics and the signs, and just the world of relationship polarity. So I hope that you found this to be very helpful, and as always, make sure that you leave a comment and subscribe. If you have any specific topics or questions that you have for me, you can always email me or send me a DM on Instagram. I usually respond to every single one of you, and I always love to hear your feedback and questions. And make sure you check out my feminine dating course if you are diving into the world of dating as a feminine woman. Okay. And it will help you understand men a little bit better and navigate through that world of dating, because I know it can be quite intimidating sometimes. So make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.